Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
What is it today? July 15th? It's the 16th.
Am I supposed
Good
to know
Lord.
that? All my days run together.
It's Monday. And, we're wearing our cute little hats today.
It's Disney Day.
Commemoration of the fact that Crystal had a Disney weekend. So she's in Disney theme.
I'm still feeling the Disney mood.
She's feeling it. I got my ears on.
Very cute hat, Jen.
Yeah, I got a blue one too. Actually, I stole this from my 6-year-old while she was sleeping this morning.
I figured it was your kids.
If she knew that I stole this from her, she might be a little bit mad.
That's
okay,
funny.
so tell us about all your fun at Disney this weekend.
Oh gosh, I did both Disneyland and California Adventure, and never been to California Adventure, and that was a blast.
I've never been because I'm afraid I'm going to like it more than the original.
That's exactly it. I like it way more than Disneyland. I think it's because we know Disneyland by heart already.
I know.
We've rode the rides many times. California Adventure is a different type of feel. It's a little bit for the older crowd, but there is still, kid rides. But the Cars Land, oh my gosh, the car race ride is so fun. So if you haven't been, go. It's fun.
And if you're on vacation in California and, definitely go to Disneyland. I know that everybody goes, you gotta do Disneyland, but really you do have to do Disneyland. Disneyland's an experience.
The trick is you get, front of the line privileges somehow. that's the fun way to go.
This one, do you have a broken leg? I'll take you to Disneyland just so she can get in the lines faster.
I hate crowds.
Oh my gosh.
I hate crowds.
Well,
it wasn't bad though this weekend. It was.
We took Jordy for the very first time for her 6th birthday, so that's my youngest, and she had never been to Disneyland. I mean, and we kind of did the same thing with my older daughter when she was 5, but we did it for Jordy's 6th birthday, and we got year-round passes. But my daughter will not go on a roller coaster without me.
Aww,
so Isaac,
cute.
remember Isaac took the girls while we were in, I think we're in Florida.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, he was like, and my older daughter's like 14 and she's going, come on, Mom's not going to be here. Like, come on, you're ruining my day. So thank God, by chance, my niece and my sister-in-law and brother-in-law were actually at Disneyland that day, and she's little. So Jordy got to play with them while Isaac and Camden went on the bigger rides.
Worked out. Good.
But so they had a blast.
Because it's no fun going there and having to stand around the whole day because someone can't go on a ride.
I can't even imagine. I can't really, honestly. I think it's torturous. And the thing is I just won't take no for an answer. So she doesn't have a choice when it's with me. It's like, you're going on this ride. And she, no! There's a thing, though. She's okay if it's like the Matterhorn or any of the rides where it's actually built into the earth. Like, she cannot see space between the rails and the ground. If it's
fun.
rails and ground, she won't do it. So, like, she likes the one.
So she doesn't like to see the height.
No, she doesn't.
Space Mountain's great for her then.
No.
She won't ride that one?
One time, and then that was it. Mom, don't you ever make me go. I've heard some people say things that they would never say on a daily basis in that ride right when it begins. Like right when you go.
That's awesome.
They go blah, 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 bleep, 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 bleep. I mean, every bleep word in the book. My mother is famous for that.
That's funny.
She would take me and my friends, but she wasn't allowed to ride Space Mountain with us because she cursed like a sailor. Joe's here!
JoJo!
Did you guys hear that? We've been waiting to see if Joe would arrive for Minxy Mondays this morning. So, hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
He's going to get on. He's going to be our support today. I'm going to take a minute to introduce us. For those of you who have never done Minxy Mondays, we are Jen and Crystal.
Yay!
I'm the training coordinator here at Minx, and Crystal is our resident and Minx Master Trainer. Crystal is so knowledgeable, especially when it comes to today's subject, which is natural pedicures. And I'm gonna let her kind of introduce herself.
Hi guys. I'm a nail tech. I have been doing nails for 13 years, and Minx as long as it started about 4 years ago. And my side of the service is more the medical, the really clean side. I specialize in medical style services on top of Minx. Most of my work is Minx. I'm about 90% Minx. So I do a lot of applications, and I just really love the product, and I knew when I saw it that I had to do it. It was just something that, because I'm so different and I couldn't do acrylics back then and I couldn't do gels, I knew I needed something that would be part of my services and make me a little bit different than everyone else, and a lot of dedication and motivation, and I really would get frustrated at times, but I just stuck with it, and I've gotten as good as I think perfectionist helps me with that too, but yeah. So I think with all of you guys, if you guys really just if you want to do this as a service and make good money, really don't give up on it, because it once you get it, you're gonna start making some good money, and and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help all of you. So any questions, any comments, please use the chat board and chat away, because all it's going to do is help you guys. So
yeah, I mean, if you have issues, that's that's kind of why we chose this format, was that something that we could do that was live, and if you have a particular question, we're happy to answer it in our process today. So take advantage of the fact that you've got Crystal, who's absolutely full of knowledge, and then myself, who I put forth as much energy as I can to Minxy Mondays and training and making sure that you're successful. So our team is here, running in the background, and they're here to answer phone calls, emails, all of that. But Minxy Mondays is really a right now, let's handle it, let's get your questions answered, and let's help you be successful. And that's, that was our purpose for doing Minxy Mondays, is, we wanted to make sure that training was available. Even in this economy where travel and going to classes gets expensive real fast, it tends to make it difficult for you nail techs to get out there and do the work and try new products, because you can't do follow-up training. Well, this is our solution to that, and hopefully it's serving a purpose. I know we have a lot of people who sign on every single week, just because one day we may answer the one little question that's standing out for them. If they don't have kind of the guts to get on the chat boards, we hope that we're answering everything,
And we know that there's a lot of nail techs out there that do have questions, and they're frustrated about it, and that's what we're here for. We want to help all of you guys, so we really need your guys' input. And if you know another nail tech that does Minx or wants to do Minx, please tell them about Minxy Mondays, because it is a great way for all of you guys to bond with us and help you guys improve your application. And I lost my thought. That's all right.
So I had this great thing that I was gonna say, and I just can't remember it. Oh my god.
It's all right. It's Monday.
That's our excuse, just so you know.
So we are going to go into the 7 steps and talk to you guys on the application. And again, any questions, please type away. So grab a drink and let's go.
Let's go. Manny Cam. Okay, actually, before we go straight to the Manny Cam, I want to put up some information. This is our contact us page, and it kind of just gives you our email address, our Twitter, our Facebook. We want to tell you to feel free to reach out to us at any time. Our team is more than happy to help. and I think I remember my thought, which was, you know, it's gone again. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to shut up and let Crystal do her thing. Oh, we're on camera. Let's go. Okay.
So is it okay if I give you a pink chrome nail, or do you want silver?
Let's go with pink. I'm all about, you know, pushing the boundaries today.
All right. All right. So now we are going to go over the 7 steps. Our first step today is our consultation with our client. You want to make sure that you spend a little bit of time on, especially on your client it's the first time visiting you. You want to make sure you get a good consultation with them. And
so bright there. You got it.
And just making sure that, you know, they're the perfect candidate for Minx, and what type of nail structure you're working with, and what Minx is good for them. As far as, you know, giving an example, if the nail's very rigid, you're not going to want to offer them a chrome color or solid gold lightning or something like that, because you have to remember Minx is like spandex to the nail plate. It does show all your imperfections. So you do want to, you know, look at the type of nail you're working with. If it's short, long, brittle, weak, you know, strong, rigid, you might have to offer an upsell of, say for instance, a gel polish, or, you know, acrylics or gels, to make that surface a little bit more smoother, so that when you do apply that Minx, it will look smooth and flawless. So what I'm doing is a dry manicure, and I'm going to fix this cam here. Don't move your finger, I got to pull it apart.
There we go.
Put it up a little bit. There we go. All right, there we go. So, is it still on there?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we're just doing a dry manicure. You always want to do a dry manicure. Make sure you get the cuticle off the nail plate, shape the nail, buff the nail.
One thing I want to say real quickly is that, you know, she is buffing the nail and she's going for a smooth nail plate. So unlike gels or acrylics, you're not going to rough the nail. You're not going to, you know, rough up the nail plate. You're going to smooth it out and just give it a nice clean surface with no shine.
And so for me, I always go back with the wood stick, and push back the cuticle and make sure I got a nice clean surface there. Because if you do not, you will see all those lumps and bumps. So really pay attention to that area, because it will show all your imperfections again in the nail plate if you don't clean that and get all that up. So now after the dry manicure, we're going to go and use some alcohol. You only want to use alcohol. We don't recommend anything else. We recommend at least 90% or better.
Did everyone hear that? Could you hear, Crystal? It's 90% or better. Isopropyl or rubbing alcohol. It's the same stuff, two different names for the same stuff. Rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol, same stuff. 90% or better.
So you want to use 2 lint-free wipes. I'm only doing one nail, so I just used one and I folded it. And depending if they have oily nails, you know, you might want to stick it under the heat. Like I put it under the heat just for a second to warm up. You know, dry it out a little bit more if they do have oilier nails. Alright. And the whole time we're doing that dry manicure, we're giving that consultation, the client would have already picked out their Minx, and you put the Minx under the heat source and started warming those bad boys up. So today we're doing a pink one.
We're doing a pink one. I'm still wearing the greens from last week. So those of you who were here last week, this ocean green chrome has lasted all week. I actually did the other hand myself, and actually you can tell because my middle finger is horrible, but I actually did the rest of them myself a couple days later. So I'm really addicted to this color. I'm having a hard time. So I asked Crystal to just do the one because we're going to focus on some toes today.
And I know a lot of people have a lot of questions for toes. So if you do have questions, you guys can start chatting those in now. So when we actually get to that section of the that part of the talk, we could actually go right into answering your guys' questions when it's appropriate. So
where are we in this?
So right now we've taken the sheet off, the Minx off the sheet, and if you see there, I've got it back under the heat, warming up on the adhesive side, and you see it curling and folding over. That's where you want it to be. And so you get about 10 to 20 seconds to cool down. Is it in the...
Oh, no. There you go.
Just remember, if it takes you longer than 10 to 20 seconds, it's okay. Just make sure that you stop what you're doing, place it back under the heat, and try again. You don't want to place the Minx on when it's hard or stiff or cold.
And you'll feel it.
And you'll know, because the Minx gets really pliable when it's hot and really stiff when it's cold.
See how stiff this is? I mean, this is almost, it doesn't even seem like the same Minx that was just under the heat. I mean, it's very rigid because it's cooled.
So now what I'm doing is I'm placing her finger back under the heat. Where's her finger? There it is. And we're warming that up, and I'm just going to apply some pressure to the fingernail. And you definitely want to communicate with your clients and make sure that you're not pressing too hard, that they're comfortable and not in pain. You want to give them the best experience ever when you're doing a Minx application, and not burning them and not hurting them is definitely key in a great service. So as long as you're communicating with your clients, it's definitely building a bond with them. So, and then what I'm doing is I'm going to turn the heat off, and now I'm still applying pressure to the nail, making sure that I'm getting the free edge as well as the corners.
And just so you know, I mean, I can feel the pressure. I definitely know that Crystal is squeezing and putting pressure on my finger, but I'm not uncomfortable in any way.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you definitely want to wait 10 to 20 seconds for it to be really cold. And you could tell, a good way is this is really stiff down here, so it's cold. You don't want to file too soon, so if you're not really sure, a couple more seconds isn't going to hurt. So just make sure that it's nice and cool before you actually start filing, because like any other polymer, it does retract, and you never want to trim too soon.
It's worth it to wait 5 more seconds to have the application come out flawless.
So what I've done here is I've taken the excess of the Minx, and you're only going to fold it over where you're going to file. And right now I'm focusing on the one side. It's really the left side of the nail. Because I'm right-handed, I go the opposite. Now if you are left-handed, you would go from the right to the left. So whatever works for you, you just want to make sure that you're filing in one direction from one side of the nail to the other. Okay, so and I'm using the curve file, and I definitely like the curve file more. It's just if you have the right technique as far as the right shape, length of nail, it does for me go by a little bit faster. So depending on your skill level, but remember, you're not going to always be able to use this curve file for every service. So
you need to know how to use both files. For those of you who are looking for a shortcut to not use the crystal file, guess what? Not going to happen. You have to learn to use both files. The crystal file is probably the cleanest cut you're going to get. And there's less chance of damaging the Minx on the surface of the nail because it is a straight file, and the curved file, because it's curved, you have to just be really careful about its use on the free edge, because you don't want to file over the top of the minx at the free edge and damage that.
So what I've done is I've went to the sidewall, I've tucked in the minx, making sure that you have a perforated line. If you've used enough heat and pressure, you'll get a little perforated line around the cuticle and the sidewall, and that's kind of like a guideline for you to trim. And then you just want to, take the orange stick, push it off the skin here, make sure it's nice and tucked, and then take your scissors and cut up the sidewall. And then remember, anytime you cut or file, you will always place the minx back under the heat. And depending on how well that minx is a shrink wrap to the nail, will determine how much more or how many more rounds of heat, pressure, and cool you apply to each nail.
The more the better, but you don't want to also delay your client's, completion either. So don't go too far. I mean, you don't have to obsess over it, but if you can see, Crystal makes sure to go into the heat at least 4 times during her application, beginning with the warm-up. And then depending on what needs to happen for each individual nail, she actually, she looks at it as an individual nail, not as, a set until it's complete. But each nail gets the attention it deserves, so she's not rushing through and trying to get 5 fingers done at the same time. She's completing the nail.
And if you look close to Jen's finger, it's really shrink wrapped. We've got a nice clean cut around the free edge, and you can really see how it's just like right up to the nail.
Everybody see that? Are there any questions about the 7 steps?
And then at this time, this is when I would say, Jen, go ahead and check out your minx. Make sure that you're happy with it. The shape's okay. You don't feel anything moving or overlapping in any way, because that's how it will pull up. And then what's happening is Jen's checking over her minx, making sure she's happy with them.
This corner right here for me.
Yep. And then, if for some reason the client has, like with Jen, she wants me to fix this corner, so you're just going to go back and trim it up, make sure it's not moving, because, the goal is the goal is, if it does pull up, then, they're not going to be back. So you really want to make sure that you've got a nice application, it's not overlapping in any way, and that's just going to make it last even longer for you or for the clients.
So let's talk about the sidewalls. When they're deciding where to cut, should they cut shorter or longer? Should they let stuff hang over into the sides? How do they manage making a decision if they're working with a minx that's too big or too small for the nail?
I really feel it's going to depend on the nail stylist's skill level. So, if you're not that good, you just started doing minx, I would definitely go a little bit shorter, because you're really going to be focusing on getting it nice and smooth and cut off. You're not going to notice all those other sidewall things, or if it's buckling or anything like that. So I recommend that you go a little bit shorter, and then as you get faster and better at it, then challenge yourself going bigger, because remember, you're trying to do a service in a good amount of time and make a little bit of money. And if you're taking 2 to 3 hours on a service, you're not really making too much money. So you really have to work this in stages until you get familiarized with how much heat and how much pressure you need. You do have to cut yourself off. It's kind of like the same with acrylics. Because I personally, I would sit there for 3 hours doing a set of acrylics and still wasn't happy with them. So you kind of have to give yourself a limit in time, especially if you're charging someone for the service. So we're just waiting about 10 to 20 seconds with pressure on it, letting them cool. And again, I'm going to have Jen check that out, make sure she's happy with it.
Fabulous.
All right.
Love it, love it.
So now we have green and pink chrome. Voila.
Voila.
All right.
Did you see my burn? I'm gonna show everybody my burn.
She got boo-boo?
I got boo-boo. Last night I was barbecuing with friends. The barbecue's all done. You can see it at this little spot right here. And so I thought, oh, I'll just turn off the propane tank because I want to make sure we're all safe. Put my hand under there. Fried my arm.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was fabulous. Was fabulous. Okay, so this is the thing, guys. We are going to go to toes. And so, in doing so, we need a little bit of prep time. We're going to need a minute or two to get set up. I'm going to put the info sheet back up. Write down all of our stuff for Twitter and Facebook, and make sure you have our email saved in your email program so that nothing comes in. Toes on the nose.
Well, toes on the... What the?
Joe.
I think the hat's getting to Jen.
No, I think it might be the red one.
Toes on the nose. Yeah, you see how Jen jumped right.
Toes on the nose.
Jen jumped right to it.
Any hoozle. It's going to take us a minute.
So, hold on tight.
And if you have any questions, get them up there because we're working toes today. Toes, people. Toes.
Woo-hoo.
You've been begging. It's been 2.5 months.
All right, stand
by.
by.
Time for toes. Here we go.
Also, if anyone wants to follow me, I'm on Twitter as well, and my Twitter is MinxMasterSD, and that's Minx Master and SD for San Diego.
I think, Crystal, the best thing, though, is that we have to make sure we're talking towards the camera, because when you turn around, I don't think they can hear you.
Okay.
I forgot to push. I'm standing here.
Also, I'm on Facebook as well, and that is the same thing. Minx Master SD for San Diego.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Ooh, get a cord.
Okay.
Good to go?
I'm stuck somehow.
No, you're good. You got it. It was hooked on the clamp, I think.
But it's got to go
No.
over here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
With your stoolie.
All right, we're almost done, guys. Sorry about this.
Almost. I'm gonna take my shoes off. Take your shoes off. So I am so spoiled. I say this every week, but I really am spoiled. Because Crystal is now she's doing. I'm getting a pedicure. So I actually got part of my pedicure this morning. I'm switching cameras. Are we ready?
Let's do it. I feel really...
What the?
Well, I'm not... Oh, I gotta focus still, guys.
Okay.
All right, there we go. There's our little spot.
What are we looking at?
We gotta find Jennifer first.
Okay. Here I cruise around.
Yes.
To do.
And...
Here I am. Okay, I can't see the camera, so you're gonna be able to watch it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Da-da-da, ugly feet.
There's there's Jen's toes. All right, so what we've done our pedicure. Now, we recommend, especially if you're new to Minx, to do a dry pedicure. Again, you want to do stuff in steps. So, definitely work with a dry pedicure until you get your application down. And the reason why is because you need the minks to really attach to the nail for them to last a good amount of time, or if that's your goal. And so if you're doing a water pedicure and you're not getting the minks to fully attach properly, then they're not going to hold very well. So we really want to focus on doing it in steps. And once you master that, that application, then start doing a wet pedicure.
I'm super ticklish. So
all I'm doing right now is I'm just pushing back your cuticle a little bit with my stick. And again, you want to get all of that off the nail plate. You want it to be as smooth as possible. And, because you want it to look really nice and last a good amount of time.
So for those of you who don't know me, and most of you, Don't. I play soccer and I have cleat feet. So I'm really, really, really sorry that my feet are so ugly, but it's part of my sport. So between my hands and my toes, I need help, and thank God for Crystal.
Does everyone see your toes? Her little toesies. Look at the toesies.
The ugly toesies.
Well, you know, feet aren't always pretty.
Not until you get your hands on them.
I do improve them. The look of them, for sure. Alright, so now I'm going to go back and just smooth out the nail and with a buffer. And while I'm doing that, if you notice, I have a towel on top of her feet. And I have the Minx sitting on the towel there. And then from there I have the Minx heat arched over her feet so that those are warming up as we finish up her pedicure. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get this to stay for you. There we go. And then once we start getting into the application, then we'll zoom in a little bit closer on the toes so you guys can really see what I'm doing. Right now I'm just buffing the nail plate and making it, you know, remove all that, smoothing it out and getting rid of all that yuckiness on there. All that yuckiness.
That's the term, by the way, people.
Yes, totally. And just remember, when you're doing a pedicure, to do it in an hour, you know, to make money, you're going to have to adjust the steps of a pedicure a little bit different than you know, what you learn in beauty school. And the reason why is because otherwise you'll be doing steps twice. So your goal is to make sure that you're not applying your minx to anything that's wet. So you don't prevent getting moisture trapped. Make sure the nails are really dried out. And that's why I use the heat source at this time when I'm buffing, because you're drying out the nails as well as heating up your minx. And the towel's just preventing it from, you know, hurting the client in any way. And again, you're going to want to communicate with your client. Just make sure that the minx heat is not too close, it's not burning them, they're comfortable, you know, they're not uncomfortable in any way. Courtney just asked, Crystal, I follow you, but you never tweet. I know, I'm really bad at tweeting. I do it once in a blue moon. I'm trying to get better at it. I kind of let it go.
And Crystal, I'm sorry, but you've had the busiest probably 2 weeks in a year that you've had.
Yeah, a lot of things are going on with me right now, so I've just been super busy. I haven't really Facebooked much. I mean, I do Facebook a lot more, and I Instagram a lot. So if any of you do that, you can follow me on there as well. But Courtney, I'll get better at that, I promise. I've got it. I like tweeting, and it's good for me, but I just haven't been able to keep up with all this social media. I need to get an assistant. So I've just buffed Jen's left foot, and now I'm going to go to her right foot. And sorry guys, I'm just trying to get comfortable. I guess high heels and doing a pedicure wasn't smart. Looks like there might be a little crack in your nail, Jen.
I told you this is my weird nail. I don't know what's going on with it. I think I got my toe smashed, and then when it grew out, like the toenail was damaged.
Yeah, your one part of your nail at the top is kind of cracked a little bit. Still attached, but it's cracked, so. it's always best when something like that happens is to keep your nail on the shorter side.
Okay.
And then, you know, especially if you're doing any type of trauma, which is, you know, kicking balls and playing some soccer.
Getting stomped on.
Yeah,
as a goalie, I guess I get my feet stomped on as much as any other goalie, but man, I had no idea I was going to get my feet stomped on like this.
Yeah, so you want to keep them short so that you don't cause too much trauma to them already. You know, besides getting stomped on and all that. So.
Yeah.
Alright, and we're almost done, guys. And by the time you're done with this part, your minks should be really nice and warm and ready to go. You don't want to wait and then heat them up because it does take a good amount of time, and depending on your skill level, it could take even longer, and you're trying to save as much time as possible so you can make some good money.
And just so you know, the reason we have the 3 sheets is because we are using remnant minks. So if we use them for something or have to take pictures of that particular design, then we keep them and we use them for Minxy Mondays.
And people that have been minxing a long time, you know, you're going to have that anyway. I have a whole bunch of used sheets that I'm still trying to get rid of. So this is what I do is I'll pull all my used sheets, put them up here, and kind of size people to the ones I have available, and then it saves me more time because you don't want to do too much cutting. You know, again, you want to save as much time as possible and make good money in a good amount of time. Alright, so we're just going to check this toe, make sure we got it all cleaned up. And from this, if you notice her nails aren't trimmed yet, I'm going to trim them down after we apply the minks. And,
What do you need?
I need lint-free wipes. Can you?
Yes.
Oh, grab, yeah. Here, hand me that. I'll take that.
Okay.
So we don't want that to spillage. So Jen's getting me some lint-free wipes, and we are going to wipe down the nail plate and go right into our application. And where did my oh, it's over there on the side. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Again, you want to use some lint-free wipes. At least 2. What I do is, just to be safe, I use 3. And Jen, you want to take this now and start holding it for me?
Okay.
And just,
so I can't see. I just need you to tell me what you need.
we're going to go to this foot first.
Okay.
And all I'm going to do is clean the nail plates with alcohol. Again, 90% or better.
Who is hot under there?
Nice and cookie.
Okay.
Okay, so
There.
now I'm taking the alcohol and I'm wiping the nail plate just like on the hands.
Nobody can see anything. It's too bright.
Here, let me do this. How about that? There you go, Jen.
Is that better?
Go a little bit right about there. Perfect. So I'm wiping down the nail plates, and I'm taking, what I do is I combine 3 pieces, and the reason why is I focus on 1 sheet per foot, because what's happening is you got to really make sure you get all the debris and dirt off the nail plates. If you don't use enough lint-free wipes and get all that up, what happens is you'd be surprised, you can still see the dirt. Depending on the minks that you pick, you can really see the debris if you don't get it up. So you really want to make sure that you, come over here, Jen.
Okay.
And now I'm coming to her other foot and I'm doing the same thing. I'm using the alcohol and I'm wiping down the toes. And then I'm going to use another lint-free wipe.
Can they see?
Yes. Just my hands in the way. And I'm going to grab a clean lint-free wipe, and this is wiping down the debris on this foot, and then I have 1 more piece that I'm going to wipe down again for all 10 toes. And I just do that only because I really want to make sure I get the debris up, because there are times that you don't really, you know, you do it pretty fast. Sometimes you miss pieces, and literally if you know, it's a little pebble, but it shows up. So really focus on making sure you get all the debris up. And again, I'm just going back with 1 lint-free for all 10 toes to really make sure I get in the corners and sidewalls with all that debris. Come over here.
can't tell if you guys can see. I'm sorry.
No, you can see.
Okay, good.
You can pull it up, bring it up just a tad, right about there.
See, there's a fuzzy on that one.
So fuzzy.
Oh, better.
Uh-oh. All right, let me see this real quick.
Isn't it weird how that cuticle doesn't even really, it's like not even existent? How this one doesn't have any like stopping, I don't know, it's weird.
Jen's cuckoo, guys.
I hate my toes. I hate them.
All right, so now we're ready to go. I'm going to, size her toes, which I can do by looking. And if you do need to size, guys, make sure you size prior to alcoholing them, especially if you have to put the Minx on the toe and sizing it from sidewall to sidewall. I can pretty much eyeball it and put it on myself, so unfortunately I forget to do that part. But for all of you that cannot eyeball it, definitely do that prior to your alcoholing. And because you just don't know what's going to be on the back of those sheets, those Minx sheets, so they do have a debris or could have oil or dirt or anything like that. So what I've done is I've placed the Minx on the toenail and I've pressed down. I've used my little stick here. And depending on the pattern, guys, make sure that you talk to your client about what direction they'd like them to go in. You know, if there's certain patterns that you as the nail tech notice might look funny, or, you know, you really want to make it geared to the client. So, you know, if they like the arrows to go one way, then, you know, you just accommodate them. Or if they want specific things, like I get some clients that want a certain design out of the Minx versus anything on the Minx sheet. Like, give you an example, the metallic snake skin. I have some clients that just want the gold part of that. So I customize it to their toes for the gold part. So it's stuff like that, you know, when you're doing a Minx application, as you get better, you know, it's something to challenge yourself, and you know, and all you're doing is making the client even happier. And you know, if you do stuff like that, they definitely love it and they come back. So I am.
Can everybody see? I can't see, so
yes.
I'm hoping.
So I'm tapping the cuticle and I'm rocking from center to sidewall. Again, the same way as we would do for your fingers, we're doing it on toes. You're putting pressure down, and we just lightly fold it over the tip. We don't want to fold it and push it down really hard.
Never ever want to stretch.
Because that will be part of stretching, and you want to keep the Minx in its original state, okay? So now we're going to the third one. And remember, again, once you take the Minx off the sheet, you're placing it back under the heat, and I just went the wrong direction in that one, so we're going to put it back. You're going to place it back under the heat and make sure that Minx is nice and soft and pliable. Again, you don't want to put the Minx on too cold. You want to make sure that they're soft and pliable. And I'm putting pressure down on her toes. You okay, Jen?
I'm fine.
All right. I've even had people say I put them to sleep doing this, which I guess it's my touch. All right. So again, we're going to do the pinky toe, and I do all the toes, and I go back and trim them down at the same time. So that way it gives them enough time to cool. Wrong way on this one. I sure am. Dang it.
It's okay. I don't mind.
You want them all to go different directions?
I don't mind. Whatever you need. I just like the blingity bling bling. Half blind anyway, so I won't even notice.
I'm half blind anyways. All right, so we're softening up even more, and we're coming in here. And unfortunately, I've got like a stand next to me, so I really can't see too much, or like I would like to, on the toes and get down in there. So I kind of have an obstacle around myself to get in there. So I normally don't do services like that. I can really see up close. So unfortunately, I can't see how well I'm doing this. It's kind of...
I can't see at all. Like, can you see? Can everybody see on the camera? I think so. Yeah.
I mean, you have a good view. I mean, you have it on there really nice, Jen. It's just I can't tell if they can see what I'm doing as far as like through the camera or on the screen. I can see it from far away from where I'm at. Okay, now we got to get to the big toe. All right, there we go. You go a little closer.
Okay, let me grab my
Right
arm.
about there. Right there. This way. There we go. Perfect. All right. Oh, it's because I have my hand there. So I'm gonna put the heat down a little bit lower so it's not blaring on the toe. Oh, I was just trying to go up, not back. So, a little closer. There we go. Perfect. Just like that.
Do you know how hard it's gonna be? You're gonna go fast.
Uh-oh.
I got an itch on the back of my left ankle. You gotta help me. No, you gotta, seriously, you gotta help me. Okay, hang on.
Should I torture her, guys?
Oh, it's one of those itches that you just, I couldn't.
So now I'm going to raise this up, and the reason why is because I personally am putting all her chevrons one direction. I know she said she didn't care, but, you know, I guess that's the analness in me. And I'm just pulling it up because I'm using the rounded side, and her nail's more square around the cuticle. So I've raised it higher so that we get it up against the cuticle and make it look like it filled in the whole area, versus if I would have used the top, it would have cut off the corners here and you would have saw her nail plate. So again, it's you know, whatever's comfortable for you as the nail tech. Make sure that you do communicate with your client and, you know, let them know your skill level, because if you don't feel comfortable cutting, you know, as long as you tell the client, and if you are letting them know you're training and you're learning this product, and you want to do it so that they can get a good application out of their minks. You go right there?
And my fat toe is just this one's a little hot.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, so go ahead and review on all your toes there, Jen. Okay, perfect. We've got all of them applied to the nail. And what I do is, again, you want a lot of heat and pressure. So what I do is I will put the heat on those toes while I'm working on the other foot. I mean, you're still heating up the minks because they're, again, on the tops of your feet. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
But I'm heating up those ones so that they can just, you know, stick a little bit better. And again, what I tell people is when you're doing toes, anyone can really do toes, and they don't have to do the 7 steps, and they can get them last a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks. But if you want to do a good application, and if your goal is, or your goal or your client's goal is to get them to last longer than 3 to 4 weeks, it is possible, but it's going to depend on how you're applying the minks, and if you're following those 7 steps, and if you're doing a pedicure prior to the application. And I just mean by, you know, getting the cuticle off the nail plate, because if you're just slapping minks on the toes and you're not giving a good pushback and getting all that up, then the outgrowth will come faster than if you did a full pedicure and did all that. So now we are going to go to her left foot and work on her left foot. And taking the minks off the sheet and applying it to, heating it up to the adhesive side and getting it in its ooey gooey stage where it folds over like that. And again, you get about 10 to 20 seconds for it to cool down, so we're going to try to work pretty fast. And you really want to, again, make sure you get the cuticle area first and then to the sidewalls. And if it's heated up enough, it should lay really well. If you're not heating it up, it might crinkle. So if you are getting crinkling or buckling, it's because there's not enough heat. So if you're getting that a lot, just, you know, before you apply it, really make sure you're heating it up really well. The more heat, the more it's going to lay like butter, I say. And again, we are applying it to the cuticle area and down to the sidewall. Are you okay, or am I tickling
I don't know what it is about that second toe on both feet. I'm like, yee!
It's her tickle toe. If you want to torture Jen, just tickle the little toe.
It's right at the end of my toe, too. It's like this severe tickling.
That's funny. So watch out. We all know your secret, Jen.
I am so weird.
So again, we are heating the Minx up under the heat, and you see how it's folded over nicely. Again, when it gets really soft, that's when you want to lay it down, place it, and tap. Again, around the cuticle. And the more heat, again, the more heat, more pressure you apply to the Minx, the more it'll shrink wrap, the more it'll look like it's stuck to the nail plate.
I'm coming around because the camera's going to melt down from the heat.
Alright, and we're going to get her little bitty toe.
And a little bitty weirdo toe.
You guys have to really practice using the scissors, because especially with toes, you do end up doing a lot more cutting. So you got to get used to those scissors. If you're afraid of them, start practicing with your friends and family.
Don't hurt them too bad because they won't come back. Don't let you practice on them anymore.
There you go. So we're going to do her big toe here, and this is her short little guy.
Wait. Oh, don't lay it yet.
Okay. All right, all right. Okay, you ready?
Is that good?
Yeah,
Can you see it?
Let me take the heat off your, ouch. That was hot. All right, so now we are going to, again, I'm going to raise it because the corners, oops, it's too small. So we're going to take this bad boy off, and I'm going to go with the bigger size.
This is the short, fat foot.
This is her little fester toe. It matches her fester thumb.
I have the grossest toes. I've been looking forward to this for selfish reasons, but not looking forward to it because you guys had to see my ugly feet.
But you know what, Jen? Minx is going to hide all your flaws.
I know. How can anything make these toes pretty? I don't know. Minx does
Minx
it.
can.
Minx does it.
So if you guys notice,
Can you
guys?
shake the mouse?
Yeah.
They can see us.
Yeah. If you guys notice, when you apply Minx onto hands and feet, the cool part about it is when people say, I don't want my bunions to show, or I don't want my hammer toes to show, you can always say, hey, Minx hides all your flaws. It brings out your Minx. All right, so I'm going to turn the heat off, and now you can see the pretty toes. So what we have here is we have the Minx applied to the nail plates, and we are now going to go into cutting them down and trimming them up to the nail plates. So on toes, we're going to do it a little bit different. It's only because they're shorter nails, and a lot of times when people are coming to get a pedicure, they need to trim their toenails anyway. So we're going to trim the toenails at this point. So what I do is I go and I cut down all this excess, okay? And I try to get as closest to the nail as possible, because when you start trimming with toenail clippers, your Minx, the Minx kind of gets stuck in the blade. So, you know, you will have to make sure you get all that debris out, you know, for cleaning purposes, but it does stick, and so what I do is I trim it really short so that it doesn't stick too much in the nail cutters. Otherwise, I gotta stop and clean that out often, and sometimes, you know, when you're, depending on what you're doing, if you're doing layering or whatever the case may be, or you might be running a little behind, it's just a faster way.
Excuse me.
Now with Jen's big toe, This one we're not going to be able to trim because it's already as short as possible. So I'm going to take the scissors and I'm just going to go right in there and trim up against the free edge.
You mean the Twizzlers, right?
What did I say?
Scissors.
The Twizzlers. So if you notice, I am actually going right up against, and if you've used enough heat and pressure, you can see where that nail has ended. And that's where you want to go in and trim. If you can't see the line of where your toenail ends, you need more heat and pressure. And then what I do is I just wiggle it off the skin. And you don't want to go too deep in because you can trim, or excuse me, you can cut or poke the client. And depending, you know, if your stuff's clean, then you as a tech, you know, don't have to worry. But, you know, your clients don't always know that. So you don't want to really set them up to cut them. So short strokes are always good. You have a better chance of not cutting your client. And you don't want to do that, like I just dropped my scissors. So I will, I have to get another pair of scissors, guys. Give me 1 second. There's a whole bunch in there. Just open that up. You see where the pink thing is to the left of it? There you go. Grab one of those. I think they're all regular ones, but...
You're okay with that?
Actually, is the other one in there, the 4 pros? Pull them all up.
I'm trying. My wrist is like locking up.
Here. As I drop all the scissors. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Didn't plan to drop my tweezers. Okay, wait a minute. There's got to be one in there. 4 pros. There's got to be. Yes! There's 1 pair. Yes! Now, if I drop these, I'll be really mad at myself. All right. So now at this point, I've cut down the free edge, cut all that. If you notice on our big toe, I trimmed it right up to the edge. You can come a little closer, Jen, so people can see. Look at that. So we still have the back part where her cuticle is. That still needs to be trimmed up. But the free edge, I've got it really up to the nail edge. And you'll definitely have to reheat, of course, again. But see, I check it with my stick. Right there, I need to trim. Everywhere else is, a little bit, but not bad at all. So I'm going to go back in here.
And with Minx, Crystal has mastered the use of her scissors. You should do the same. It's very important that you feel comfortable trimming around the cuticle, around the free edge.
I get a lot of people that I ask, can we trim it up prior to applying the Minx? You're really not going to get it perfect like you need it to be if you cut it prior. I tell people you can try it, but for the most part, you're really going to have to apply the Minx and then trim it down. So if you push the, see how I'm pushing the Minx off the nail, or the skin, excuse me. If you're doing that and you're pushing it down enough with heat and pressure on the nail plate, you get a perforated line. And you can go in there and just trim up. Again, you can use short strokes, moving it really short. You don't want to put the tool all the way in there and trim it down. Just using the tip of the scissors and trimming it up is ideal. And that's going to prevent you from cutting the client. And what I do is I just move the Minx off of the nail and kind of lift it up. And then what that does is it sets it up for me to get the tool in there again and trim it down. My nail's not getting it, so I'm getting in here with the stick again. Alright, and then again I'm going to go back in here and trim a little bit more. And if you're still having a problem, you can pull the Minx a little bit up off the nail and trim it. And you can always go back and lay it down. And that's why you always want to apply heat and pressure again after you cut it. Can you turn the light on?
Yes.
Or the heat?
All the way up?
Yes, please. I work with the heat all the way up because I am comfortable with it. You as the nail stylist, depending on your skill level, it might be a little bit different, and that is okay. just make sure that you're still using enough heat to get it to really shrink wrap to the nail. And if you notice, I'm going to take this real quick, Jen, so I can show them up close. If you use enough heat and pressure, even after you've cut it down, you can see that it's really attached to the nail. And I'm sorry, but can you turn the heat off, please? You can see that it's really shrink wrap. If you pull up off the nail after you've trimmed, you can kind of see the edge of the minx kind of sticking up. So again, you go back and use heat and pressure to lay it down, and sometimes you might cut a little too short, and if you lay it back down, sometimes you can hide your imperfections. It depends. If you mess up, it's okay. Just do it again. You really want to make sure that you can satisfy your client. So if you think it's too if you have a gap there or something you cut too short, and you think it's too obvious, make a judgment. If you think it looks bad, do it again.
Never send your client out with something that you wouldn't wear yourself and be proud to say, I did this.
Yes. Yeah, because, you got to remember, what is your client paying for the service? You want them to come back. So now I'm on the second toe, and I'm going to go again up the sidewall. And what I do is I lay it down after I cut it so that I can see if I've cut it at the right length, or if I need to trim it shorter, or whatever the case may be. So I go in there and I try to lay it back down after the fact to see if I've got the right cut. Because sometimes you still don't got it cut to the right size, and you want to go back in there, because if it is, again, overlapping in any way, it's going to pull up. And you want to really pay attention to that part. So on the toes, you will end up doing more cutting, because minks don't have all the sizes you need to do it without cutting. So do get in. Don't be afraid of your scissors. It's okay. Just practice on your friends and family. All right, I'm gonna turn on the heat. Warm up her second toe here, and I'm just pressing again the minx around the free edge and the side walls to really get it to attach again with heat and pressure. And if you notice, I'm not doing anything to the free edge yet. I do that last, and you'll see why, because we're going to trim down the toenails after I've got this laid down. Alright, and again, I'm going to turn it off. And remember, guys, you're never cutting under the heat. Never get in the habit of cutting under the heat. You have to wait that 10 to 20 seconds for it to fully cool before you start cutting again. Also, when you guys do layering, or if you ever, when you do ever attempt it, especially with toes, once you've laid and cut around the cuticle and the free edge, your minx, give you an example, this foot, your big toe and the second toe and almost the third toe. This would be right when you would add your second layer if you did it one layer at a time versus applying both layers first and then applying. You want to trim up the side walls and the free edge, or the cuticle and the side walls, and press that down real well before you lay the second layer. And you don't want to just lay one on top of the other before you trim that up. And the reason why is because you'll get a little bit more crinkling with the two pieces together. So when you cut that up, One might get short, one might stay long. And then also, once they stick together, you're not going to be able to pull them apart.
You're not going to want to disturb them in any way.
Yeah, and then also they're going to be a little, if one's crinkled and then you lay the other one on top that's crinkled, then you're never going to get those crinkles out. So you do want to lay one at a time, get that really nice and smooth as much as possible, and then go back and lay the second piece. Because you've already laid all that crinkling down. If you notice, these three do not have any crinkling around the edges. So once you lay that that second layer, then you'll get a nice smooth top and it'll look flawless. All right, so now we're on the fourth toe, and we're gonna again trim up the sidewalls and the cuticle area. And again, if you did a nice heat and pressure, you'll see a perforated line where you'll cut. And I just go in with the scissors or the tweezers, whatever is your preference, and trim all the way around. And I usually go on one side and then I go to the other side. And it kind of depends on if your scissors are catching it or not. Sometimes it's tougher if you've got it really attached to the skin or the nail to get the scissors in there. So I kind of mess around. And if I can't get it one way, I go to the other side and try that side. And sometimes what that happens is it lifts up where you were having a problem and makes it a little bit easier for you to trim it down.
I can't see. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good, but you could be a little closer, Jen. Perfect. Okay. All right, and then I'm just going to trim this side here. Didn't get it close enough. Still a little too long. All right, and I'm going to put some heat on it, so I'm going to turn on the heat for 1 second and press down. And if you see any buckling and you're pressing it down into the sidewalls, it indicates that you got a little bit too long of a piece there and you're trying to put it into the sidewalls and it's buckling because it's a little too long. So if you are getting that, you will have to go back and trim that a little bit shorter, so that it will lay smooth. A lot of times if you're still getting buckling after you've trimmed it up and pressed it down, it indicates that the minx is a little too long for that space there. So if you're getting crinkling, say up here in this corner, you just got it a little too long and you're trying to shove it in there so it's buckling a little. So if you go in there with some scissors, it'll trim it around that corner and it'll lay it a little smoother. And if you lose it, then it just means that you got it. All right, so far so good. We got one more toe to go. And if anyone has any questions, please ask away.
Can we see it?
Yes, it's a little blurry.
Oh, too close.
Yeah, let me see.
I can zoom in.
Oh, it's shiny. Your toes are shiny, Jen.
Uh-huh.
All right. And a lot of times if you do trim, you do pull it up off the nail plate. It's okay. You just remember, you have to always go back and reheat it back up. And it's doing a little buckling, so I'm going back and trimming it up a little bit more. Alright, and I'm going to again put heat on to her baby toe. All right, so now we've trimmed down the sidewalls and the cuticle. We've removed the excess of the free edge. We have not gotten the free edge done yet. We're just warming these toes back up, making sure we got a nice trim all the way around all these toes here. If not, that's when you would go back and either, use more heat and lay down if you got a crinkle, or if you notice there's a piece that's overlapping, it's on the skin, you want to go back and trim that. Now is the time. I'm just reinforcing again around that edge, sidewalls and cuticle. And now is when we would trim up the free edge. But again, if you're doing layering, this would be when you would add the second layer. All right, so now I'm going to go in and trim. How's the camera angle? It's good. Actually, you need to go up a little bit. Right about there. You come a little closer, right? Because we're not worried about your big toe because it's.
My butt hurts.
Now, why is it shiny when you don't have no light on?
Because there's lights in the ceiling.
Your butt hurts.
My butt hurts, like, because the angle of sitting like this.
Wait, I gotta find this. Sorry, guys. This is new. There we go. Right there. Okay. All right. So now we are going to go in, and I'm going to trim down her toenails. And Jen, you'd like them short, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going in and trimming down her nail. Just make sure that you don't, again, trim on top, and sometimes if you don't get the nail, the nail cutters will slide, and then you cut off the top.
Can you check the camera again?
You do have to, it might take you a couple times to get this down. This is weird because there's light on there. There we go. You have to come up like this. There you go. Sorry, unfortunately, it's uncomfortable. Okay. Let me see if I can adjust this camera because it looks blurry. Okay, I'm just adjusting, focusing here, guys. Okay, there we go, much better. Okay, I love those minks. What are those called? These, what we're putting on Jen, are called the silver and matte silver chevrons. And it comes in gold as well. And I am, again, going in and trimming down her nails. And Jen likes them short.
That's my weirdo nail that stands straight up.
Yeah.
When it gets long, it grows straight up in the air. It's the weirdest thing ever.
And that happens. All right, and then I'm going to swing my arm over here and trim down his little baby toe.
Can you see?
I can see, but let's see if they can see. They can see unless my hand was in the way. All right, now at this point, I would go back and use my crystal file and file the edges and make sure we've got a nice trim up to the nail, shape it if necessary. Sometimes depending on what you do with the nail cutters, they can mess up a little bit. So using your crystal file, you can fix some of that. Sometimes if you trim it too oddly shaped, you do want to go back and file a little bit. And again, you're never cutting or filing when the minks are heated up. And you don't want to work under the heat when you're doing this part, guys, okay? So make sure you have other lighting and not your minks heat. And again, after we're done filing, we're going to go back under the heat and warm it back up and reinforce heat and pressure to get a nice seal. There's one little spot here I think maybe I missed. All right. And then any other things that you might need, I go and check my edges and make sure I did get a nice seal. And then I will eventually at the end, I'll have Jen check them and make sure that I got a nice seal, because, you know, after you've done this for a couple hours or an hour, whatever length it takes you to do it, it might be a little bit overwhelming and you might be tired, and it's always good to have your client check your work and make sure you did get a nice seal, because, you know, you don't want them to call and say it didn't hold. All right, so now we're going to go to the other foot. And again, I'm going to trim off the excess. And I do get a lot of the question, well, can't you use that extra piece that you're cutting off and put it on another toe? Well, I mean, I guess technically you could, but
that's gross.
But think about all of the touching you've used. You've touched it on the skin, your finger. You've got to remember that it's picking up oil and dirt every time you grab that end. So if you are trimming that down, I mean, depending on your skill level, you could always cut it prior to taking it off the sheet. But if you are charging a good amount, why would you want to gyp your client? I also noticed that, you know, as you get better, if you do cut it in half and use half and half, it does get a little bit more challenging because of the fact that you have less to grab. And so you do get more buckling on the edge unless you've got it really, really heated up. So again, it will depend on your skill level, and then that will also determine your time too. Because if you have a shorter piece, you get more crinkles, it might take you a little bit more time. So in some cases, it might not be, you know, it might not work in your benefit, in your favor. And then I come back to the other side and I'm just trimming it up. And I do kind of I kind of like push the scissors or the tweezers away from the cuticle, and what that's doing is just lifting it up before I cut it, so I'm not trimming or cutting the client or having that chance of cutting the client. So
find what works for you. Make sure that you try different techniques. Don't stop, improving.
Yeah, you always want to try to better yourself when doing this service. And I always go back and lay it back down. It might be a little cold, but once we get the heat, it'll lay down a little bit better. It just gives me an idea if I need to trim more or if I don't. So you always want to go back under the heat after that, after trimming or filing. So don't forget. Alright, so I'm going down to the fourth toe. And I gotta get up for a sec, guys, because we lost you. Alright, there you are. Alright, and so now we got 2 more toes to go, and I'm just trimming down the sidewalls and the cuticle area. And once we do these 2 toes, we will go back and heat these 5 toes back up. And at this time, you could always be warming the other foot up. More heat, the better. And depending, again, on your skill level, you might want to use more heat to just get them to really stick to the nail. Again, I can't emphasize more heat and more pressure on any Minx service. All that's going to do is make them hold even better. So, just keep that in mind. Alright, so we are almost done. just pushing that off the skin there so I can see what I got left. And pinkies are a little harder too because, you know, a lot of clients don't really have much of a pinky. So it can be a little bit more challenging. Sometimes it is harder to get them to stay just as long as your other toes. I always have a key of using more heat. Again, you know, what you think is enough heat on pinky toes, you need more heat just because you have smaller space. And depending where your heat is up, you know, on your toes, say for instance the neck or the heat isn't getting to the pinky, you know, sometimes the pinky gets left out. So
don't leave the pinkies out.
Because those are the more challenging ones out of all your toes or all the client's toes. They can be harder to get to stay just as, you know, a minimum of say the 4 weeks. So,
and your client's shoes have a lot to do with it too. Because
yes.
I know when I wear my certain heels, it rubs my pinky the wrong way.
Yeah, and I do tell people first time is your trial period when you wear your Minx. You do want to check your Minx after each pair of shoes. And I do tell people if you do wear the proper size, your Minx will be fine. But if you wear a little snug of a shoe in a certain area, it can pull up. And in Jen's case, her shoe is just a little too small in her pinky region.
Yeah, because my feet are wide.
Well, she just got special feet.
Special. We'll call them special.
All right, so her pinky here is a little on the shorter side, so we're gonna have to go and trim that up a little bit better. So I can't get the toenail clippers in there, and so we skip that toe, and I'm on her third toe now. And I'm just trimming down. Jen likes them pretty short.
Otherwise, they'll all be cracked from getting stomped on in soccer.
All right, and we're just moving along here. This is her challenging toe. So, when the nail's a little bit more rounded or involuted, then what happens is sometimes your toenail cutters will slide, and that's when it'll cut the top and not cut the toenail. So you just have to be really careful. Same with her big toe, it slides a little bit, and I don't want to trim off the top. So I'm going to go back with the crystal file and just trim off the edge. And really make sure you get those corners, because the corners do get left out. That's where it looks like it's the right length, and you want to trim it just a hair shorter. So really make sure you get those corners. And I just file, I really emphasize those corners, and I file right in those areas and make sure that I'm going with the Minx and not away from, meaning like you don't want to file the direction of pulling the Minx up off the nail plate. So you want to file in or down.
And if you're on the free edge, you want to have a 45-degree angle to the nail. As much as possible. With toes it's a little harder because a lot of times they're shorter than the length of the toe.
Alright, let me see if I can try to cut your big toe again.
Oh, good luck.
It's a little tricky, yeah. See how brittle? The right in the center is where it's a stinker.
Uh-huh.
Hold on, where did I put the file? And if you do happen to trim off the top, I mean, there's ways of trying to hide that by filing the nail a little bit there, and it'll file the nail and then meet up with the Minx. So, you know, depending on how bad it is, you know, if you can fix it that way, you can. If not, you can just take the Minx off and try again. All right. Now I'm going to heat these bad boys back up and reinforce the edges. Oh, it's all like a white out. That's perfect, just like that. I'm going to go a little bit this way. There you go. So I'm a little bit far from the heat, so I'm going to slide it out. There we go. And again, we're warming up the minx and pressing down around the cuticle area and the sidewalls and just reinforcing the edges.
Woo, it's bright. Sorry guys, you know it's bright. Doing our best.
Again, it's the same as the fingers, you're just reinforcing the edges, putting pressure down. And last but certainly not neglected, we're going to get this baby toe. First, go to the outside, so we really want to make sure we get the heat on the minx. So we will be, warming this. You can see it, but it's really faded because of the heat. I'm just putting pressure on the nail and her pinky. All right.
I'm having such a hard time with this camera.
All right, so not bad, not bad. So you see I'm putting pressure down on all the toes. And again, with toes, you don't really have to really emphasize the heat and pressure, and they're gonna hold a good amount of time. But, give me an example. I'm known for my minx on my toes lasting a good amount of time. My clients love the way I apply it because they really shrink wrap and they hold almost twice as long as someone that just started. So depending on your skill level and how much you charge, people don't mind paying it because it ends up lasting. But then there's some people that just don't like to wait that long. So you get all kinds of clients with how they like to see their toes, and some people like to go 1 month, some people like to go 2, some people like to go even longer, which I don't recommend. But some people are just busy. So now, at this point, I've applied all the minx. I've cut the excess off. I've trimmed around the cuticle and the free edge. I've reinforced the minx. I've reinforced with heat and pressure. And we're pretty much done. This is when I would ask Jen to check her minx and make sure that she doesn't feel anything overlapping. She doesn't see anything that she wants me to trim up. Her toe shape and length is a good length for her. She doesn't feel anything too long. If she does, she'll let me know at this time, and that's when you'll fix it.
Okay, that one's perfect.
All right, and then for me, this would be right when I would apply or give a massage after I've applied the minx. But again, if your skill level is not that good and you cannot get it to apply as nice as you'd like it to, I wouldn't really emphasize putting any oil or lotion around the minx. Or, what I did at first when I first started learning is I would just make sure I got the dry areas like the bottoms of the feet and where they needed on their legs, but really just lightly went around the tips of the toes or, around where the minx are. And then as you got better and as it really started to shrink wrap, then, you can do more and not have to worry about it. Because if you get a nice seal on the minx, you're not going to get anything in there. And if you've got it cut to the toenail themselves, you're not going to get any oil or anything on there. So,
cutesy!
Woo-hoo! So voila! She's got some toes. Some pretty toes.
Pretty toes.
All right, so we are going to go back to the regular cam. If you guys just stand by.
Stand by, stand by. Here we go. Yay! Hi guys. Okay. That was so nice, Crystal.
I didn't even give you your little lotion part. We'll do that later.
Okay. I'm gonna show everybody my toes in my flip-flops.
In my flip-flops.
Well, no. I'll leave it because my flip-flops are quite cute. I don't want to ruin the minx.
You're funny. All right. So do we have any questions, Jen?
Let's see. How far away should the heat lamp be from the foot or hand?
We always recommend the 8 inches from your stick. If you have those orange wood sticks, you just measure from the table to your minx, and that's a perfect length. of how far you should have the heat from the skin or the hands or feet, whatever you're working with.
And you know what? Everyone's comfort level is different. So please, please, please communicate with your clientele.
Yes. So if it's too warm or
this is a rule of thumb. This is not the only way. You have to make sure your client is comfortable. But this birchwood stick is about 8 inches, and it's the perfect length between the bottom of the Minx Heat and the table.
Yeah. And also remember, you as the nail stylist, if you're not comfortable with that high level of heat, you know, you do have to use more heat, more pressure, and more time to get those minks to really shrink wrap. But as you get better, the higher level of heat you'll get used to. And so, yeah, the 8 inches and you'll get comfortable with. And there'll be times where you might want to go a little bit closer because they might have a very, very arched or involuted nail plate and you need more heat anyway. So, I mean, you will have to adjust it to everyone by their structure, again, by the structure of their nails. So, yeah. Do you want to talk about some... Why are you smiling so big? Are you happy you got your toes done or what?
I think I locked the entire staff out of the shipping department while we've been in here.
I guess they need keys, right?
I guess looking for the Minx keys.
Did you bring those in with your purse?
Yeah, I'm going to go run these out really quick because Christy's going to kill me. And then, let's do a product spotlight. So, give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, so why don't I just go over the Minx Retail again?
Okay, start it out.
All right. So, guys, all of you, if you don't have Minx Retail, I definitely recommend it for the licensed professional. And the reason why, it's just a way for you to upsell your clients on a product that you're going to make money on. It's a kit that we sell here at headquarters. It's a kit. It's $195, and you get 6 designs from that kit, and the kit carries 4 packaging per design. And in that packaging, you get a mani and a pedi set with 2 alcohol swaps. Those designs change every 3 months with the seasons. So when you get your kit, we recommend a $16.50 to sell each packaging, and this is a no heat process. It's a great way for your clients to, here, you want to come over? It's a great way for your clients to, if they're in a hurry, or if they have a special event and they don't have time to make it to the salon or the nail tech's too busy, it's a great way to upsell them versus having them go to CVS or wherever convenience store has them. Our copycats or competitors that sell pretty much the same product. So this is our retail line. It's a no heat process. You pretty much press down really well, and as you keep pressing it, the more it does the same thing. It sticks to the nail plate, and then you would remove the excess, and voila, you have yourself a temporary 2 to 3 day wear set of minks.
I have one correction.
Yeah.
Nothing compares to Minx. Even our retail product is going to be better than any product you find in CVS or any of, and most of them are made of a different material to begin with. So we just want to make sure we understand that this is as high end as retail gets, and we've put a lot of effort into developing this product because it is a no heat application. It's designed to last for a few days. At most.
Yeah.
And this is something your clients can do for themselves and or their kids. A lot of the purpose of this has been that people call and say, do you have kids minks? No, we don't have kids minks, and I would be shocked to find a mom and dad out there who would want their 5-year-old to have a $60 pedicure.
Yeah, and the heat with the professional line on kids is really hard to do because you have to get those scissors and they're really close to the nails and the cuticle, and kids in general are just really jumpy and can't sit still anyway. So the retail line is perfect for the kids. All my clients love it because they don't have to spend a lot of money. They still get the same effect as the professional line, but you don't have to really try to set the child up to cutting them or, you know, burning them. So I sell it a lot to the kids versus their parents, and their parents gets the professional line.
Yeah, so great for kids' birthday parties. Great for, you know.
You get a $200 profit with that. So for $195, you make a good amount of money on top of it, and it's for you as the licensed professional to sell in your shop as an upgrade.
Yeah, it's a great product.
As an add-on, I should say.
Let's. Oh, I think there are questions.
Oh, let's see. I have clients asking for lace designs. Can you see some of them on camera one of these weeks? Yeah, we could definitely show you guys the lacy ones or anything that's a layering product. I mean, we'll eventually get back to layering, and we can use those, you know, show those for you guys so you can see what they look like.
We do have some lace that are not layering, so you don't have to be, Courtney, you don't have to be ready to layer in order to, you know, give your clients lace designs. We'll bring both. We'll show you 2 different ways to do lace.
Yeah.
The other one is Shermina in Bermuda asks, can you apply a minx that is the wrong size, too big or too small, so that we can see how to apply minx? Thanks, Shermina. Okay, Shermina, I'm gonna go ahead and remove one of my fingernails. Can we do an oversize?
Mm-hmm.
I think, Shermina, if I am not mistaken, you actually have had some issues with trimming and or filing off the free edge. So we're going to focus on this a little bit for you. Please don't hesitate to let us know if we are not addressing the subject you need us to address, okay? Okay, so here we go.
All right, stand by.
Do-do-do-do. Okay, manicam on. Go, Crystal. Go, Crystal. Go, Crystal. Okay.
Hold on, guys. We're almost there. I've got to adjust this back to our normal setup.
If you guys saw our studio, you would laugh so hard. You would. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm going to steal this really quick.
You want to turn on the
Say
heat?
hi,
And
Jen.
Hi, Jen.
All right, so I'm going to turn on the heat and let these pink chrome warm up. And Jen's going to remove the one nail. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, you want to remove it or should I?
Do you want me to remove it off a different hand, or you want me to use the same
No,
hand?
we'll just go with this. We might as well crawl across.
All right. So I'm going to warm these up, and what I'm doing is getting the minx soft and pliable so I can push off the minx. Is it showing the nail?
Oh, let's see. There we go.
All right, and you want it to get soft and pliable, and make sure you push it. You're pushing it. You're not pulling the minx off like a sticker. This is not a sticker. You do not want to do that. I do not recommend it at all.
I'm going to try to go from a different angle, Crystal, only because it's so stinking bright again. Woo, there's the ceiling.
Peekaboo.
It's so bright that you can't even see anything. It's terrible.
Can you see now?
Guys. Yes. It's not as close, but it is, it's clear what you are doing.
All right, so I'm pushing off the minx. If you push it off correctly, you will get a sticky film on the nail plate, and that is what you should get if you're, if you're pulling off too fast or you're pulling it off like a sticker. You can pull the nail cells up, and we don't recommend that. So the best way is pushing it off from side to side, or you can go from one side and like I'm doing now and push it to the other side, or you can lift this side up and meet in the middle. Whatever works for you as the nail stylist. Alright. And if you look at Jen's nail plate, it just has some sticky residue on there. And I remove it with a buffer. But, some people use alcohol, some people use acetone. I also use oil because I like to apply oil to the nail plate.
Okay, I'm going to come back over here.
And I'm going to put this over here.
Do-do-do-do.
So now I have the Minxy under the, on the chrome. Hold on, my elbow or my knee was messing up. Is that good?
Yeah, good to go.
All right,
Yay.
so now I have the Minxy on the pink chrome Minx to warm up while I'm going to do a dry manicure on her finger. And so I'm pretty much buffing and smoothing, removing that sticky film and debris.
Okay, so Sharmina also says she gets crease in the Minx. If I get a crease in the Minx, how do I smooth it out and what can I do to avoid it?
All right, so creases, buckling, any of those are caused because you're not using enough heat when you apply it. You really want to heat the Minx up as warm as possible to to what's comfortable for you as the nail stylist, and then lay it down that way. If you're laying it down and it's not warm enough, you will get creases and buckling. Once it's stuck to the nail plate and you have a crinkle or bubble, there's two ways. You can rock it out while it's on the nail plate, which a lot of times looks like you've got it out and then eventually it comes back. Or you can pull it back up off the nail plate and try again. You can do that way as well. The trick is you want to get the Minx as warm as possible before you lay it down, so when you do lay it down, it lays like butter and you don't get any crinkling at all or buckling or rigid, like a bump in there or whatever, a bubble.
The other typical place you're going to find ridges and creases or actually buckling and creases, is that it's a really high C-curved nail. If that's the case, you need to work a little bit under the heat and you need to try a different technique.
Which we do go over.
We will go over that in the future. We do advanced technique shows, throughout the season. So we'll make sure we cover that in the next few Minxy Mondays. But really, if you have an acrylic that is really thick and not, kind of far from natural looking, you're going to have that. You may have that problem. You may have that problem if you have a client that has a complex curve, meaning a curve that works from the cuticle to the free edge and then also from side to side. So it's almost like the tip of a ball. And that is, that's a complex problem. But if you're working on a natural, very flat, easy to apply nail and you're having this problem, it is heat related. Okay? So you need to pay attention to the time we take and the way the Minx looks when it's hot.
Yes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the pink chrome Minx off the sheet and apply it back to the heat and with the adhesive side up. So, and let's see what kind of, right, so I'm going to pull it off the sheet. And if you notice the Minx on my finger, the adhesive side is up and you can see it really folding over. The more heat, the more it just folds over and gets all what we call the ooey gooey stage, or it gets really soft and pliable. So you get about 10 to 20 seconds from this point to get the Minx to fully, to lay on there nice and smooth and fast. If you can't do it fast, it's okay. Just remember to stop when it starts to stiffen up and add more heat to it, okay? So, okay, so now I'm going to apply it, and we're doing we're overlapping it so we can show the cutting method. And if you notice, I'm doing the cuticle first, and then I make sure I rock from the center to side walls and to the free edge. And if you need to use more heat, it's okay. Just, go back under. Warm it up. Make sure you use heat and pressure. Pull it out of the heat with heat and pressure. And if you notice the sheet or the Minx on her finger, you can really see the perforated line where her nail stops and her skin begins. And you really want to make sure that you have it nice, good shrink wrap there, and so that way you get a nice perforated line when you start to trim. And you just want to reinforce that area there right here where it's creasing, and make sure it's not getting pulled up from when you pull it off the skin, okay? So again, I'm going on to the other side, the same thing, I'm lifting it off the skin. Because if it's stuck to the skin and you don't have it on the nail plate all the way into the sidewalls, you can cut too short. So the best way is lift up around off the skin, and then make sure you press it back into the corners. You could even place it back under the heat again. And then again, I'm going to pull it out of the heat for that 10 to 20 seconds with pressure. And remember, the more you're doing that heat process with the pressure in the cooling stage, the more it's going to really shrink wrap to the nail. So if you look closely, I'm going to turn that off, you can really see that's really attached to the nail. I'll come a little closer for you guys.
Nice.
All right. If it doesn't look that shrink wrap to the nail, keep heating it up and keep putting pressure on the nail. You know, using your finger or your stick or whatever your preference is. All right, so now we are going to trim the excess. And remember, when removing the excess, it's going to be different for each client, depending on the structure of the nail. And so when we remove the excess, we are going to fold over the area where we're going to trim first. And because I'm right-handed, we're going to trim the left side of the nail first. And I'm using the crystal file, and, well, I don't know if that's a good idea with Jen's nail. Let's try. So I'm really focusing on the corner of her nail and the edge of the front of it there, okay? And then we're going to reposition it where you're cutting. You're not trying to fold the whole thing over. You're just folding over the area you're cutting at that current moment. Okay? If you fold the whole thing over at once, what happens is you'll get a lot of crinkling and buckling on the edge because you're trying to fold the whole thing at once. You really just want to fold over the area you're cutting at that current moment. And then I'm going to go in here and trim off this sidewall excess, because you're not going to be able to cut that with the file, especially when it's not connected or attached to the front of the free edge. If it's only the crystal file, the curve file is only going to cut where the nail is. If it's exceeding past the nail here, you have to trim it with scissors. So now I'm going to lift up this one more time, and it should be really nicely attached around the sidewall there on both sides, so we can just go right into trimming up the sidewalls. And again, anytime you cut or file, you will always place it back under the heat and reinforce the reinforce the edges.
Okay, so you guys did not lose sound. We've just been quiet for a second.
All right, so now we are right here at the end of our cutting. I'm going around the corner. Just make sure that you don't undercut, cut too short. That does happen sometimes. You might have to take it off and try again. It'll all come with practice.
The other thing is yeah, I mean, if you have an issue that's happening and you're not sure why, yes, we want you to find out why. Oh, not in the camera. A little too high. And if you have an issue that, you know, you're not sure why it's happening, but it's happening, definitely bring it to Minxy Mondays. But one of the things that we need to stress is that you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have to start over at some point. Sometimes, you undercut and it looks so bad and you would rather, get rid of this client, just go home, I'm done with you. You're having a frustrating time. Stop, take a deep breath, reapply the Minx, start from scratch, get another one, and make it right for the client. Because at the end of the day, the client came in for Minx, and they came in because they liked you. And they're patient enough to understand that you're human. And, as a client, I would rather my manicurist or nail technician take their time and fix a problem than send me out and say, oh, well, no problem. Well, those are my nails, and I have to live with them for the next 2 weeks until I get my manicure or pedicure.
The whole idea is you want them to be happy, so just make sure you communicate with them. If you are having a problem, like Jen said, just stop, take a breather, because that happens to me sometimes after about my 8th pedicure. I'm done, I'm over it, I want to go home, but you can't rush it all the time, because if it does come up, they just might not come back. So you want to give them a good application, and because Minx is such a new technology, it does hold. You just have to practice at it and not give up.
And that's the thing, a lot of products are, you've already learned how to do acrylics in school, you've already learned how to do gels in school, so when you get out and you try a new product, it's a variation of the same thing you already know. And with Minx, it's a whole different ball game, and you have to take that into account, okay? So you need to act like you're in school and that you're learning a new technique or a new product line. So just know that practice makes perfect with Minx. It is a simple process, but it does require practice. Sharmina, I hope we answered your questions.
All right, so Sharmina also says
That's
creases.
the same one.
Oh.
That's the same one.
Oh, okay. Okay, so if you look at Jen's nail, go ahead and check out her nail. We've trimmed around, we've resealed it. Now it's time for Jen to check my work, make sure I got a nice seal around those corners, sidewalls. I always recommend for my clients to go up on the free edge against the Minx, and that way if you do feel anything frayed or moving, you can catch that now before they walk away.
It's perfect.
Alright, so just make sure that, if you are getting crinkling and bubbling, again, around the free edge, the sidewalls or the cuticle before cutting, it just means you've got a lot of excess Minx around that edging. Once you trim that down and reinforce it with heat and pressure, it will lay a lot smoother and you'll lose a lot of those crinkling and bubbling around the sidewalls and cuticle.
You want to come back?
Sure.
Come back to me.
All
right, you guys. It's 9:54.
All right. Well,
that was a really great pedicure. I'm happy.
She got new toes.
I got new toes. They're purty. They're purty.
So, again, I hope everyone got something really good out of the toe session of our Minxy Mondays. And
yeah, and if you have any questions that come up later, or you're doing your next pedicure and you say, okay, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with Minx, and something comes up along the way, please reach out to us. Our number, which we didn't post, is 866-757-6469.
You can always call us and talk to our lovely people here at admin.
Everybody here in the Minx office wants to help you, so please don't ever hesitate to ask for it, okay? The other thing is that if you are in...
We're here from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
6 to 6.
6 to 6.
6 to 6.
Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah. Let me put up the international number, 760-757-6469. So both of these are 757. Oh,
he beat you to
it. He beat me to it, but I'm still going to... Oh, What did I do?
You messed up. You broke it.
Well, I broke my chat feature.
So, thank you, Joe, for putting that up for us, because she
Yes.
Oh, there it went. Okay.
And Ramal Nails, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We hope everybody is getting everything they need out of Minxy Mondays. That's the whole point, right?
That's right.
And we're in it together.
Yes.
You and us. And we'll make it happen, okay? So if you have any questions, don't hesitate.
And them.
Yeah. All over the world.
Oh, I almost lost my hat. So we want to say have a great week from me and Jen here at Minxy Mondays. And all you people having a drink, please have one for us.
Yeah, really. You've already beat your Monday. It's still ready to beat me.
So everyone have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Have a Minxy week. Bye.